and welcome to Apex Reviews. Today we're going to be going from this next level racing Grand Touring F1 sim setup over to a track racer TR120. It's a pretty big jump and I'm pretty excited to see how it turns out. So stay tuned. I purchased this whole rig off of the Trak Racer website. I was able to custom select my seat, the frame, and a few extras, such as the riser for the pedals that support F1 seating, and the mount to secure my Fanatec direct drive steering box. The website's pretty easy to navigate. Everything was well packaged, however it wasn't very well labeled. I ended up opening up all the boxes in order to try to figure out how to assemble this thing. The instructions are on the Trak Racer website. They weren't too difficult to find. I pulled them up on my iPad so it would be easy to see. They have directions for all of their stuff here. I selected the simulator since I was assembling the TR120. This window kept popping up and I couldn't get it to stop. I'm not real interested in Trak Racer knowing my location all the time. Once I got down to the drop down though, I pulled up the PDF and then started moving from there. There's a lot of symbols on the directions and they'll come into play later on. It was a little bit too much to memorize. As you can see here, this is step 1. Since the directions are on an iPad and not on a piece of paper, it was pretty difficult to see what size bolts I needed to use. Typically when you're using directions, you can just hold the bolt up onto the piece of paper and there's a direct one-for-one match. But this wasn't the case. I'll be honest, these directions were not easy to follow. Trak Racer says that all you'll need is one Allen wrench and one regular wrench that they provide, but in reality, you're going to need all of these extra tools. So get ready for that. The whole assembly hinges on these little guys. These slide into the frames. There's a ball bearing on a spring in the back to hold them in position, and then you'll screw everything into that. Here's what it looks like on the frame. They're easy to get in. You can slide it in from the end, or you can wedge it in at an angle. And then once they're in, they're easy to slide around. The hard part is working to get them lined up in the holes. I had to use a flashlight and another Allen wrench so I could slowly move them into place. I had to practice this a few times, but once you get going, you'll find the groove. Here it is at partial assembly. It really is well made. It's super sturdy, thick aluminum, and it's really strong. I'll definitely give it to Trak Racer. The directions weren't the best, but they do make a good product. There are plenty of guides online for a step-by-step tutorial, so I'm not going to run through all of that. Here's what it looks like partially finished. It's still waiting on the seat and for me to install my pedals. I did get the Fanatec direct drive box installed on it though, and I love the way it's set up. They say it takes about 8 hours, and I agree with that. The 8 hours was definitely an accurate timeline. I pulled the pedal set off of my next level racing sim and basically installed it onto the Trak Racer 120 plate in the same way. It just screws through the frame. It's a one-for-one. It's super easy. I lifted mine all the way to the top so that I could get that ultimate F1 feeling. You can see the size difference here. The TR120 is a lot heavier than the next level racing sim. It's beefier and sturdier. I could slide that next level racing sim around on the carpet and get it out of the way if I wanted to watch TV. This Trak Racer sim is not as easily movable. I ended up purchasing wheels for it later on. Here's an up close of the seat slider assembly in case you were curious. Once I got the F1 seat in there, I tilted it full F1, so the back is all the way dropped down and the front is all the way angled up. It's hard to see in this picture because the lighting is not the best, but once you get it in person, you'll be able to see it. I also installed this Trak Racer Haptic. I bought the whole kit, so the plate installs along with the speaker. All the wiring and the amplifier box come to you. Trak Racer also provides 10 cable management brackets. The brackets are meant to be used with zip ties. I ended up using Velcro strips and that black cable tubing. I think it gives it a cleaner look. Once I installed the Haptic and started using it, I did identify a problem though. Listening to that seat adjuster vibrate the whole time I was sim racing was a no-go item for me. So I cut some foam I got from the Trak Racer packaging and tucked it up underneath the bracket. That seemed to do the trick. If that doesn't work for you, you can always wrap a bungee cord around the seat adjuster. That way it'll still slide when you move the seat, but it'll hold tension down along the frame. Here's a final look at the product. My son is 6'4", and he's a little under 200 pounds, and he fits comfortably in it, with plenty of legroom, and I think it is true F1 style seating. I think we're going to get a lot of use out of this. Thanks for watching.